welcome. I'm Lauren Z. Ray, and I just moved to Richmond 1 year ago, and throughout that year, I've created a list of things I wish I knew before moving here. Some things are much better than I expected, and some are definitely not. Whether you're planning to move here or are just curious what made my list, let's dive in. Oh, and make sure to subscribe for more Richmond and Virginia travel tips. Okay, now let's go.
Number 1, the James River. The James River is a massive river that literally flows through Richmond, flows through downtown, and it's beautiful. But before I moved here, I never really thought of it as a reason I wanted to move here. But upon moving here, I've quickly come to realize how beautiful it is. Like crossing any of the bridges and looking down, being up on Libby Hill or at Hollywood Cemetery and just looking at its vastness. It's incredible. There's also Belle Isle, which is an island in the middle of the river where you can cross the Tyler Potterfield Bridge or other bridges to get over there. There's hiking trails, there's historical spots, and the views from there of downtown are just absolutely beautiful. Also, the Teapot Bridge is a great location for a selfie. I would deem it as one of the best selfie spots in Richmond. I also enjoy watching kayakers from this bridge because right around that area is where the Class 4 rapids are located, and Richmond's really special this way too. The James River has Class 4 rapids right in downtown. So you can book with a company if you're not a professional, and they will take you down the rapids. You can raft, you can kayak, etc. What? Even knowing that, it took me a while to actually touch the James River, get into the James River. Only recently did I buy a double kayak on Amazon, and a friend took me out on the Huguenot Flatwater, which is really chill, no rapids, and I kayaked around, which was really fun. And then I just recently wake surfed on the James River, which, yes, you can wake surf. There's companies that do it. I went with Safe Surf RVA, which is more of a school where they teach you how to wake surf, and that was seriously so much fun. And right now the river is so warm, and I surfed, which was really crazy because I never thought I could, but now I'm kind of obsessed with the James River. But also, the James River isn't the safest. There's a long history of multiple sewer pipe bursts and overflow into the James River over the past few years. This is because Richmond has a combined sewer system which dates back to the 19th, 20th centuries. This system combines stormwater and wastewater into the same sewer system, which during heavy rainfall overflows. There have been some key incidents in the last few years. September 2021, there was really bad rain and it led to flooding and sewer overflow into the James River. And recently, in July 2024, there were 2 incidents that occurred around the Tredegar pipeline trail where 2 sewer pipes burst. And yeah, they fixed it now, but yeah. To keep updated on the James River, you can follow the Instagram account How's the James RVA for updates. They say there are efforts to upgrade this sewer system, which I really hope that's true because the James River is beautiful, it deserves more, and also there are so many fun recreational activities to do on it. Number 2, the food scene. So I'm vegan, and that means I have very low expectations for good vegan food in pretty much most cities, but Richmond surprisingly has a fantastic food scene, both vegan and non-vegan. I sort of knew about this before moving here, but until I moved here did I really discover. And since moving here in the past year, 2 fully vegan restaurants have opened. Tiny Vegan, which is like American comfort food, and Minglewood opened a few years ago, but since I've visited Richmond the first time, and that's a 100% vegan bakery that also has sandwiches and savory items. Also across the river is Philly Vegan, which is 100% vegan Philly cheesesteak restaurant. I mean, it's crazy. And on my Instagram, I've been sharing different vegan options around the city. I've made a lot of other friends that are foodies around the city, and even they haven't eaten at every restaurant. So no matter what you eat or what your dietary restrictions are, you're gonna find some really, really good options here. You wouldn't expect that from Richmond, but here, the people who work at restaurants, the chefs that are creating the vegan options or other options, work so hard, and the flavors are amazing, and seriously, surprises are around every corner every time I think I've eaten somewhere or I know all the vegan options, somebody creates something new and it's so good. Also, we have tons of farmers markets here. Some are even year round, Big RVA Market in Bryant Park. We have Carytown Farmers Market, Dory Farmers Market, Birdhouse Farmers Market, which is amazing, and Scott's Addition Farmers Market just opened. I mean, there's tons of farmers markets, tons of vendors, tons of people doing really cool things, coffee pop-ups, food pop-ups. There's collaborations of different restaurants and different pop-ups. Literally, the options are endless, and there's so many events and delicious food to eat. It was very surprising. Number 3, history is everywhere, but also not everywhere. Richmond has a long and lengthy history. One of the main reasons why I want to move here is because of that. I love history, I love learning history, and I read a ton of books about Richmond before moving here. In fact, one of my favorite books, which I highly recommend you read before moving here, or if you already live here, this is super, super interesting. A History Lover's Guide to Richmond. This book is amazing. It takes you to a lot of different spots around Richmond and then gives you the history of that spot. I learned so much in here. In fact, I tell people who literally grew up here in Richmond and have lived here their whole lives some of the facts in here, and they've never heard of them or knew about it. So it's a really, really good book, and it definitely gives you a good insight into Richmond. So I thought I knew Richmond pretty well. I mean, I knew its history, I knew some of the facts, but really it isn't until you live in Richmond that you get to know it better. It wasn't until I started going to the museums and talking to the tour guides and talking to people who grew up here that I really started to get a sense of areas of Richmond history that is kind of missing. So you can see a lot of its history, like the 18th century ones of St. John's Church and the Virginia Capitol Building, and 19th century ones like the Main Street Station and the Old City Hall. But you can't see a lot of the Richmond history that actually existed here. But luckily, a lot of people gave me some really good book recommendations to learn more about the history that you can't see. So if you guys are interested in reading these or getting them on Audible or something, I highly recommend them because they're gonna tell you a lot more about Richmond's history than you'll be able to see visually or people are talking about. So this is Richmond's Unhealed History. In a detailed look at the history of Richmond, Benjamin Campbell examines the contradictions and the crises that have formed the city over more than 4 centuries. This is The Color of Their Skin, Education and Race in Richmond, Virginia, 1954 through 89. Robert A. Pratt has written a compact little volume that depicts the tortuous process of trying to integrate the public school system in Richmond. Built by blacks, African American architecture and neighborhoods in Richmond. They helped dig the canal, grade the hills, and even raise the state capitol. But African Americans are largely unrecognized for the role they played in the construction and design of Richmond, Virginia, one of America's most historic cities. Black America Series, Richmond, Virginia. Known as the birthplace of black capitalism, Richmond had, at the turn of the 20th century, one of the largest black business districts in America. How the Word is Passed, a reckoning with the history of slavery across America. Beginning in his hometown of New Orleans, Clint Smith leads the reader to an unforgettable tour of monuments and landmarks, those that are honest about the past and those that are not. On the West Clay Line. These are not images of famous figures, historically important buildings, or impactful events, but of everyday life within and around historic Jackson Ward. I highly recommend reading at least one of those books before you move to Richmond, or if you already live here. It's really insightful. I mean, very eye-opening information that I never knew about and I feel like isn't spoken about enough. The Black History Museum of Richmond is also a really great place to visit to learn more information. And also let me know if you have any more book recommendations. A lot of these came from people recommending them to me. I wouldn't have known about them otherwise, so definitely leave that in the comments below. I would love to read more. Festivals and events galore. There's always something happening in Richmond, and like on weekdays even, multiple things a day. And if you don't think that's true, then I will give you recommendations later on who to follow on Instagram to find out what's happening, because there is so much. You have things like food festivals and music events, art shows and Broadway shows, but then there's like really niche Richmond things like, I don't know, Edgar Allan Poe's Goth Prom at the Poe Museum, Watermelon Festival in Carytown, and 804 Day. Like you can go to an art gallery show opening on a Wednesday night and it will be poppin'. Like people show up here and they're excited and they like to get involved, and there's so many really fun festivals and events that like champion niche things that normally wouldn't have some sort of celebration. And it's really cool to see, and I love getting involved in these and going to these because it opens my mind to so many different things I wouldn't normally see, and also get to meet so many different people that I wouldn't normally talk to. So it's been amazing. So if you're wondering on what things to do in Richmond, I recommend watching my weekly vlogs here on this channel. I show like different things to do around Richmond. That'll give you an idea of where to go and what to do. But for more like daily events, yes, follow me on Instagram, but also I would say follow my friend Elaine. She's at Miscellaneous on Instagram, and she is always updating her Instagram stories and her feed with tons of things to do every day in Richmond. Highly recommend giving her a follow. Number 5, the weather is interesting. Richmond has all 4 seasons and sometimes has them all in one week. If you aren't familiar with the geography of Richmond, we're located in the mid-Atlantic. Virginia's kind of centrally located on the East Coast, and then Richmond's like inland a little bit towards the west, down the James River. And that makes for some pretty hot and humid summers and some, I would say, pretty cold days in the winter. But I also will say the sun shines in the winter here and I will take it. I am from Indiana and our winters are cold and gray. You never see the sun. Here in Richmond, you see the sun almost every day. And so it's a really nice winter, even though there are some cold days. And the summer can be nice too. I mean, if you're in the James River, of course, or if you're in somebody's pool or something, like those hot days aren't too bad, but it does get pretty hot here. I still love all the seasons here in Richmond though. Fall is incredible here. Spring is incredible here. Richmond doesn't mess around with Halloween. They will put decorations up. They will dedicate their entire front lawn sometimes to a whole scene of Harry Potter or something like that. And it's so cool to see. Plus the foliage is beautiful. Everywhere in the city, there's so many trees, so you see so many different colors, and like you can go to Hollywood Cemetery and get a little spooky vibe, but then you see the James River with that like beautiful foliage from across the river. It's just incredible. And also I would say the Hollywood Cemetery rocks in the spring because around the presidential circle, they've planted lots of cherry blossom trees, and when they bloom, it is absolutely magical. It's like Rivendell and Lord of the Rings. It may be bad for allergies though. We are one of the highest pollen. We have a high pollen count here in the spring. So if you have bad pollen allergies, that's something also to know. I did not expect that. There was yellow everywhere on the car, on the deck, on my shoes. It was a lot. Number 6, it can be hard to make friends here. I think people in Richmond are incredibly friendly. When I first moved here, I would tell everybody I just moved here, like in any shop and anywhere, and they would be so nice about it. They'd be like, oh, that's so cool, where'd you move from? And we got in like full conversations, sometimes for like 30 minutes. Like, don't be surprised if a stranger walks up to you and like strikes up a conversation or compliments your outfit or your clothes or your vibe or your earrings. Like, people are really outspoken, I think, here, especially when it comes to compliments, which I absolutely love. And then I became outspoken with compliments. So now I'm always like, oh, I love your bag, or oh, just love this. Like, it's so much fun. It just was tricky to like go beyond that, like make an actual friend as an adult. And not that that actually is Richmond specific. Maybe it's just me, or maybe the fact that it's because you're an adult and it's hard to make friends as adults. But it took me a good 8 months, I think, before I found somebody to hang out with. So for me, I started posting on Instagram about my travels through Richmond about 5 months into living here, and that helped a lot because I would put myself out there and be like, I'm looking for friends, and people would be like, come have coffee with me. So I like met a lot of people with coffee, or I like went on walks with people, so I was able to kind of like make friends that way. And it was cool because the people who like offered to do that sort of already knew me from Instagram, so they like knew we could be like good friends. But not everybody has that capability, so I started a social club here in Richmond recently, actually. It's called Vegan Club RVA, and we do events every month. Every other month is like a ticketed event. I'm doing like vegan food tours around town, so we can go to like different restaurants and like try different food at like several locations all in one day. And then the other months I'm doing like free events around town in different locations. I actually have one this week, and I'm gonna vlog it, so I'll show it in one of these vlogs so that you guys can see it. But it's an opportunity for adults to like talk and meet and maybe become friends. Like, I wanted that opportunity for people because it was so hard for me. And it's called Vegan Club, not because you have to be vegan, but just because we're gonna have vegan food there, but you don't have to be vegan. Everyone is welcome. So if you're watching this and you've just moved to Richmond or you're moving to Richmond, make sure to like follow Vegan Club RVA on Instagram or sign up, it's free, on the website. I'll leave it in the description below, and join one of our events. It's a really great way to meet other people, and I would say most people who show up are new to Richmond as well, or have moved here during COVID, and that was a hard time to make friends, and so in this post-COVID like life, they're now just getting to meet friends. And so it's a really cool opportunity. They've been super fun. Everyone is so sweet and nice, and yeah, come on by. Number 7, every neighborhood has its own vibe. Richmond is a city of neighborhoods, and all of them have their own set of charms. And actually, I really want to do like a different separate video where I go through like each neighborhood in detail, so that if you're moving here or if you live here and you're looking to move, that you can kind of see an insight and description of each one. But for now, I'll just like quickly list a couple of them. So if you're like into quirky vibes and you want like shops nearby, restaurants, definitely Carytown. If you're looking for a walkable neighborhood, I would say Museum District, The Fan, lots of really cute walks in those neighborhoods. If you're looking for historic, I would definitely say Museum District, The Fan, or Church Hill. If you're looking for like newer builds, sort of like breweries and that sort of thing, definitely Scott's Addition. And if you're looking for maybe a lot more trees, river access, more green, I would say across the river, Forest Hill or Bird Park would be a really good option. Separate video coming soon. Number 8, the tolls. Okay, I know I've mentioned this in another video before, but literally that was unexpected, I will say. A toll booth in the middle of the city on different bridges, on different freeways. Yeah, that was eye-opening experience. I feel like that's unique to Richmond. If you've ever been in another city like this, let me know. Get an Easy Pass. As soon as you move here, get an Easy Pass, make it where it's attached to your credit card and you can just charge it as you drive through the tolls. It makes life a lot easier than having to have exact change. That's the worst. And yes, I know people have told me before, and I agree, there are ways you can avoid the tolls, but sometimes those ways are longer, they take longer, or you kind of have to like go on the other side of the city. Also depends where you live. Like some people in the north side tell me, they're like, I never run into the tolls. Well, it's like, okay, that makes sense. So it also depends on where you live, but if you're traveling outside of Richmond or you're traveling up and down the East Coast, just an Easy Pass, it makes life simpler. It's been great. Number 9, the art scene is epic. Art lovers, mural lovers, artists, everyone, this city is for you. I didn't realize Richmond's art scene was so vibrant and so diverse. We have so many amazing murals on buildings around Richmond, so many amazing ceramicists. Like you can go to any of the markets or like an art show and see like the most talented people, and we have painters and like crochet people. What are they called? I don't know, but like can crochet amazing things here. Like this is a creative mecca. Like artists come here and are so talented. They have something here called First Fridays on every first Friday in like the Jackson Ward area, Broad Street, Arts District area. They have art galleries that are open, people showcase their work, there's live music, there's food, it's amazing, and it's every month. Of course, our VMFA, our Virginia Museum of Fine Arts, is an incredible museum. We have some stuff in there that you just wouldn't expect to have in Richmond, and their rotating exhibits are always really incredible too. And if you happen to see the vlog where I went on the Fan Art Stroll, it was this event that takes place in May in the Fan neighborhood on these 2 streets, and artists come and put their art all along the sidewalk, and you can shop local artists' works, and they had live music and food, and it's just the perfect weather. It was such a vibe. Number 10, you'll fall in love. I know it's cringy, it's super cringy, but it's true. I fell in love with Richmond. I mean, I already loved it before I chose to move here. I was fortunate enough to be able to kind of live anywhere, and Richmond was like the place I wanted to live. But I moved here, and a year deep, I'm more obsessed with it than I was when I moved here. No regrets, and also the food, the arts, the river, the events, everything about Richmond, the architecture, the seasons, the Richmonders themselves. It has been the best year of my life, and I'm not being like sarcastic or even, I mean, it sounds crazy because like you've lived a while, but literally this past year has been the best year of my life. I've loved living here. I love the friends I've made. I just love Richmond so much. Obviously my experience is my own and my opinion is my own, and this video obviously is about stuff I wish I knew before I moved here. Everybody has their own experience here, and I've gotten a lot of comments from you guys on other videos, so I know that there's obviously differing opinions out there, and you know, some people have lived here their whole life, or some people have lived here, left, moved back. Some people are just watching these videos and they used to live here and don't even live here anymore. Some people want to move here. It's like a spectrum of different people watching these videos, and it's always really cool to hear your guys' opinions on things, but I just wanted to share mine. I would say I'm one of the more obsessed people with Richmond, but I run into them all the time. I'll just say like, oh, I just love Richmond, and they'll be like, oh, I just love Richmond too, and like we'll go off about all the reasons why we love it. And like also I discussed in this video, there are of course cons. I mean, there's pros and cons of living in any city. I just think Richmond has some really good pros, and I also think like there's some really amazing people, organizations, etc., that are helping or trying to help the cons become, you know, easier or better. And it's really cool to see. I think the attitude here is very progressive. It's very creative. I mean, this is just what, like I said, again, my opinion, what I'm seeing, what I've experienced and who I've spoken to. It's beautiful to see. And I know there's a lot of change in Richmond, especially over the past 10 years. That's what I've been told in the conversations that I've had with people. I just moved here a year ago, so obviously I didn't experience it firsthand, but change is uncomfortable and it's tough, and it can be tough in a lot of ways, and we'll just have to see what happens, of course. But I think there's been a lot of positivity that we need to focus on too. I don't know, you know, it's not for everyone. It's definitely its own unique thing. If it's a place where you feel like you belong, then I'd give it a go. If you live here already, or if you're from here and you love it, like, that's amazing. If you've only lived here a year like me and you love it, that's really awesome too. If you don't like it and you have the opportunity, maybe go and try and live somewhere else. And maybe that gives you a new perspective on Richmond, or maybe you find another place you really love. I've lived in a lot of places and I've never really found a place that felt like home before Richmond. I grew up in Indiana and then I moved to New York for school, and then I moved to LA for a career, for work. And yeah, they were fun, it was okay, but Richmond really feels like home to me, and I really hope it feels like home for everyone who lives here. And I waffled on, I ranted. I'm talking a lot. I tend to do that. But I hope that I was able to kind of give you an insight into the last year of my time here in Richmond, and the 10 things that I wish I knew before I moved here, kind of like fun video idea that I had. If you want to continue and follow me in my life in Richmond, definitely subscribe, put the notifications bell on if you want to see every upload every Sunday, and make sure you're reminded, I guess you could say, about the video on Sunday. And give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And then comment. I love reading comments. I love responding to them. Like, let me know how you feel about Richmond. Are you moving to Richmond? Have you lived here before? Like, what are some things you wish you knew about Richmond? Over here, I'll put more videos about Richmond. So if you want to continue on the journey of Richmond stuff and Richmond videos, I'll put them here. Some of my weekly vlogs, some other like interesting videos about Richmond here. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next week. Bye.